Chapter 9. Closed Doors. Father said it was important that I see more of the outside world and sent me out to see it. In 1964, he sent me with 4 bodyguards to the World's Fair in New York. They were big guys, 2 black and 2 white, as was the rule, and all wore full motorcycle leathers as they escorted me to the fair. I specifically remember one man, who was really friendly, coming along, Robert Hampton. He was a plumber for the movement. They all surrounded me as we walked and rode the rides. My most vivid memory from the trip was the Futurama exhibit by General Motors. It was this ride with moving cars that took you through 3D exhibits that imagined what the future might be like with robots and automation. I'd never seen anything like it. It was a great experience, which, like my visit to the Bronx Zoo and other popular places, was intended, I supposed, to open my eyes to the world. I also visited different peace mission banquets and functions. Always, I was given a front row seat at peace mission dinners. I took my seat next to distinguished guests, like traveling professors, doctors, and even politicians. I once sat with Mayor Frank Rizzo, who asked me questions about school. Nobody asked me what I was doing at Woodmont, or how I got there. I think Mother and Father Divine wanted me front and center at these meetings to make everything seem more normal. Because I was more acclimated to the outside world than the other followers, I think I made guests feel comfortable, almost 2 years after that first Christmas. When had a banquet in the city, and I had an unexpected sighting. This one would change my perspective. There, walking through a peace mission hotel, I saw her at long last, my mom, from my first days in the movement, and less so as time went on. I had hoped that my mom might come back for me. That she might realize she had made a big mistake and come to take me home. I thought maybe Pop might even come looking for us, but I was starting to lose hope. What happened when I met her again was the worst possible scenario. I was walking through the lobby of the Peace Mission House on 41st Street in Philadelphia, which was called the Unity Mission Church and Training School, with the entire Divine entourage. Mother and Father were directly in front of me, the secretaries and Happy surrounding us, when all of a sudden I saw her, my mom, Georgia Garcia, or Miss Harmony Faith Love as she was known in the movement. She looked like herself and not at the same time. She was wearing the movement's waitress uniform. All white, with an apron and a little paper hat. Her once dark hair had turned half white. She didn't see me right away. She was looking at Father Divine, making goo-goo eyes at him, trying to get his attention. I was filled with a mix of excitement and dread. I wanted to ask her a million questions, like why she left me, but I didn't want the answer. I was afraid she might tell me something that would make me feel worse than I already felt. Maybe she would confirm all that they said. That I was so bad she couldn't handle me. Before I even had a chance to think about asking her a question, we locked eyes. It was for a split second. Her expression of joy faded, and she turned away. My heart plummeted right into my shoes. She was no longer my mom in that moment. I couldn't believe it. I was stunned and ran to Father Divine to tell him what had happened. I couldn't cry out, that was not allowed, so I said as calmly as I could. "Peace, Father. I need to talk to you." The entire entourage stopped as Father turned his attention to me. "I just saw my mom, Miss Harmony Faith, and she doesn't even know I exist." She could have said peace to me, but she looked at me and looked like she saw the devil. He nodded. "I'll take care of it." After he went to his room for a rest, he sought her out. The followers told me about the conversation. He told her she couldn't treat me like that. She had to treat me as she would all followers. Not as a son, but with the respect due to any other believer. Another 6 months went by when I saw another familiar face. We were at the Divine Lorraine. I wore a pinstriped suit just like Father. Father entered the hall to thunderous applause, with me in tow. We made our way to the front of the room, and as we did, I saw my sister Susie, sitting at a table with 4 other girls. She was 5, or maybe 6 years old, the other girls looked older. Some of them were wearing their rosebud uniforms, red vests with V's on them, to show how virtuous they were. When we were seated, I tried to catch her attention, but it seemed like she was deliberately looking away from me. I got Happy's attention and pointed to my sister. "Where do they live?" I asked. "They live in a movement house at 740 South Broad, just down the street," he whispered. They were the only other children in the room. I never saw other boys at any of the functions. After the dinner began, Father spoke and introduced me to the group as Master Tommy. When I looked out at the crowd, I had my eyes on Susie, but she didn't look up, or say peace, Master Tommy like the others. After dinner I found the girls, but they were huddled together, and I was in no way allowed to approach them. When I finally caught Susie's